Welcome to Showtime All the Time, podcast number 5. I'm Dennis Bickmeyer, the Executive Director of the Henrico Sports and Entertainment Authority. And today we're featuring another great upcoming event at the Henrico Sports and Events Center. And our guest today is Hunter Leemon, the Chief Executive Officer of Sportable. And that event is the National Wheelchair Basketball Association National Championship. That's a mouthful, yes, but we promise it's going to be a great event. Hunter, welcome to Showtime All the Time.
Hey, thank you for having me. And listen, thanks for that prep. I know you probably had to work on that. It is a mouthful. I get it.
Well, we'll be saying it a lot over the next couple of weeks, so
yes,
it'll just flow like it's supposed to. Mm-hmm. Now, let's talk a little bit about you and Sportable here right out of the gate. You've been with Sportable since 2014. Tell us about Sportable's mission and how did you get to Sportable?
Sportable. So it actually, a lot of roots in Richmond, right? Richmond is the world's largest small town. Was lucky enough to do some graduate work at Virginia Commonwealth University. And when I was there, I started volunteering for Sportable. I actually coached their wheelchair power soccer team, which is great. So imagine power wheelchairs, you put guards on them and they use those guards to maneuver the ball. I didn't know anything. Dennis, I didn't know anything about soccer. I didn't know anything about disability. I didn't know anything really about coaching a population that didn't look like me, right? It was a very unique experience. I did it outside of meeting my wife. It was the best thing I ever did. And I did that. I did that for 5 seasons and it was great. Had a wonderful time with it. And that volunteer experience led me to the opportunity to join the staff in 2014. It's just a wonderful organization. So adaptive sports. So think about it like this. We serve wheelchair users, amputee, and those with visual impairments, right? And so last year we served over 50 disability profiles because they're a lot very unique, right? But in general, those are the big 3 categories. And we serve athletes from as young as 3 to as old as 87.
Wow.
We have 16 sports. We have over 25 programs. We do them all right here in Central Virginia, including a bunch right here in Henrico County. Listen, it's recreation and there's competitive sports, there's single sports, team sports. I will say, though, we've got a couple of, flagship programs. And one of the big flagship programs we have is wheelchair basketball. And that's been one of the programs we've had almost since the beginning. We've got a total of 3 competitive teams, soon to be 5 competitive teams. And we have players from all over Central Virginia that come together and play. It's a great organization. I'm very fortunate to be a part of it.
Well, this organization continues to grow and evolve. So talk a little bit about that evolution and the time that you've been there and what lies ahead. What's next for Sportable?
Sure. I will tell you that as a nonprofit, relatively small nonprofit, particularly in the early days, we were only to be successful as the community could support us, right? And the greater Richmond community is awesome, very philanthropic. A lot of folks rise up to meet the needs of the organization, right? And so we did a lot of things like most small nonprofits when they start. It kind of starts that there's nothing stronger in the world than a mother that wants something for their child. It's the strongest thing. And so a group of moms get together and all of a sudden you can't say no. And then all of a sudden, as it grows and grows, there's more demand and more people want to be a part of it. So then all of a sudden you need more economic resources to make the mission happen. The philanthropic and the business community rose up to meet the need. We've been able to grow. When I started in 2014, we had a total of 2.5 employees, and now we have 13. We have 7 part-time employees that help make our programs happen throughout the community. And then we have an army of volunteers. Every year we have over 500 volunteers. And this year, because of this big event that we're doing at this new facility, we'll have over 1,000 volunteers this year. But they kind of help make it work. A majority of our work is done in the adaptive sports space, but we've also been very intentional about doing health and wellness work. We've been very intentional. Like everyone, I think we all had to pivot in some way, shape, or form during COVID. We did that. We have more virtual programming. We're a lot more intentional about the holistic health of our athletes and those individuals we serve. I think we'll dive more into that as the future progresses. There's also an aging population, which our skill set coincides very well with trying to keep them active and playing sports and recreating and having a healthy lifestyle. So what we'd like to do is expand our operations. We would like to serve more individuals. We'd like to serve thousands of people. Right now we're serving hundreds, but we feel like the future is bright. And a lot of the reasons it's bright, again, is because of the success of the community. When we have partners like Henrico County, like our friends at Richmond Region Tourism, like our friends at Dominion and Sheltering Arms Association, those relationships allow our mission to be amplified and we're able to do more. And hopefully there'll be more of that in the future.
Definitely, and we're thankful for those groups that you mentioned as well to jump in and lend a hand, and that the army of volunteers that you mentioned as well. And as you said, we'll need them in a couple weeks at the championship
Yes,
as well. So, and you've got a great team that's dedicated to that mission. So, what are some of the things that you're most proud of as an organization? And what are some of the biggest challenges you're facing? You mentioned trying to grow and trying to meet the needs of so many that are out there.
Sure. I think like most, from a nonprofit standpoint, I think a lot of people will look at us with a little bit of a different lens. But just like most businesses, one of the biggest challenges is managing people, managing the human resource element. It's also like finding the resources for growth. The demand is great. And so in order to meet that demand, though, we need resources. And we need resources not just for the work we're doing today, but for the resources we need to do tomorrow to meet that demand. Those are always the biggest challenges, thinking about how we can be successful and financially viable, not only today, but 3 years down the road if we continue on the path, right? Like that's the biggest challenge. The biggest opportunity, though, is continuing to serve the people in our community that need it. And then I would suggest to you, I'm very biased. I think we have a great team. I think we have a great community that supports our work. We are one of the best of the country at what we do, particularly the model in which our organization works. I think we can be a beacon for other organizations to do this work around the country to come and see how it's done and to see a financial model that works for them and things that they can take back into their own communities. It starts with the mom that won't take no for an answer. Right. But eventually, as the organization grows, it becomes a sophisticated business model that can scale up and help meet the need. And I think we're in a unique position that maybe we can help others do that. Like that's the best.
Well, we need those moms to keep advocating.
Yes, we do. So, we do. 100%.
So that's great. And there's so much more that we can talk about with Sportable and all the great work you're doing. But we're going to have to switch gears here to the National Wheelchair Basketball Association National Championship. All right,
yes, sir.
So April 5th through the 7th is the first kickoff weekend, right? That's prep and varsity wheelchair basketball. Make sure I got that right.
That's right.
And then April 12th and 14th, divisions 1, 2, 3 adult wheelchair teams. And I have to note that on that weekend, there'll be some Paralympians that'll be featured as well. So just give us the overview of the championship. You've attended one, a couple. What is this event all about? Why is this so special, and why is it so great that it's coming to our community?
Okay, so I'm really excited. I want to get out of my chair, but I was told I can't do that. But let me just start.
I love the passion, by the way.
Okay, great. This is good. Listen, years ago, I think it was 2016, I went to Louisville, Kentucky, and that's where I saw the first championships take place. And it was a very transformational moment for me at Sportable, just to see, when you're an athlete and you're in a wheelchair, even though a big part of our work is making sure you're not socially isolated, because the population's relatively small, there is an element of isolation to it, right? But when you're at a championship and there are hundreds of athletes that look like you, that are professionals, that are business owners, that are mentors, that are coaches, that are additional players, as a kid, it's transformational because you can see this path for how you can be an athlete for the rest of your life. And it's magic, man. I can't wait. April 5th, it's going to be awesome. But so to bring that here, for what it means for the organization is great. It solidifies, I believe, Sportable's reputation and kind of as our place as a leader within our industry and around the country, and that's awesome. But what it means for our community in terms of us being a destination for inclusivity and how the fact that we welcome all athletes of all shapes and sizes here, it's going to be amazing. The quality of play, and that's the one thing I would stress to all of our listeners out there, to anyone that has an interest, to come out and to see the intensity level, to see the physicality. And these kids are great. Like, they're awesome kids, and they'll high five, and they're really cute. But when they throw the ball up, and then
game on,
buddy. I mean, you talk about Showtime all the time. These kids are going to take it to town, and it's just awesome to see. It's awesome to see these kids have an opportunity to do it because a lot of times they don't have it. For us to be able to have a facility here that allows us to we're going to have over 30 states represented, Dennis. Wow. We're going to have over 1,200 wheelchair basketball players here, 100 teams. And to your point, there's going to be a lot of future Paralympians that first weekend. There'll be some very high-level basketball, particularly in that the higher end of the varsity division. The second weekend, when you're seeing the Division I players, there will be Paralympians there, and it's incredible to see what they can do in a chair and the level of sophistication of the basketball product. It's awesome.
So that's fantastic. So we have all these folks converging here to come and compete, but we have our local Sportable athletes,
Yes.
right? So
Yes, we do.
tell us about the Spokes and the Rim Riders. Those are our local teams.
They are. Those are our local teams. So our Spokes, oh my God, they're the greatest. So the Spokes, we've been doing this probably since, I should know the exact date, but probably 2006, 2007. We've had a youth basketball team. We've got a collection of 12 athletes. They're from all over the central region. This is going to be their opportunity to shine right in their backyard. There's one young man, and I think I've referred to him to you before, but I call him Mr. Henrico. His name is Luca. Luca is a student and a young man here in Henrico, but he's been playing with us for years. And now he's at the point where he gets to play on this stage, and it's going to be a great opportunity for him to see his friends and his family come out. And here's the great thing about the Spokes too, Dennis. Their head coach is a guy by the name of Derek Hoot, who is a amputee, but also is a player on the Rim Riders.
Oh, wow.
So he comes out, he coaches these guys. He's got a passion for it. Also, Megan Anderson is an adult player who helps coach. They're coached by peers and folks that can be an example of what they can become. They've put in the hours. They've been to Baltimore. They've been to Philadelphia. They've been to Raleigh, Durham. Like, we travel all over the Mid-Atlantic. Usually we take one big trip every year to go to nationals. Thankfully, this year it's right here. But those kids travel all over and they compete throughout the year. They'll be playing the first weekend, love our Spokes. The following weekend, the Rim Riders. And I think we have a real solid chance of competing for hardware.
Nice.
Like on the Division II level. Our game has been elevated. We have a lot of very savvy veterans that have been playing the game for a long time. We have a couple of new faces, including Coach Hoot, who gives us a lot of versatility. We have more depth than we've ever had before. We're coached by a young man, Will Massey, who's been involved with our program for a while. Listen, the fact that we're going to participate means everything, and it means a lot. And hopefully especially the kids, are going to be able to see what it takes to succeed at the level where they want to succeed. But I suspect that we're going to have lots of great moments for both teams, and my hope is that the adults can really compete, get after it, and maybe have a top 3 finish.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. And the event is open to the public. It's $12 for tickets, right?
That's right, $12. Now listen, you can write a check to me for $1 million, and I'll give you a couple tickets, or you can go to our website. You can find $12 tickets to come in for the day. And we encourage everyone to come out, and we'll be promoting it pretty aggressively over the course of the next 30 days. We want folks to come out. We've told people, like, we really would like to hit a number of 12,000 people over the 2 weekends. Like, we think it's achievable, we think it's doable, and we think it's going to be a great opportunity for our region to shine and be able to support this amazing product.
Oh, and go to sportable.org, right, to get all the information and everything. And you talked about some partnership. You mentioned Richmond Region Tourism. Mm-hmm. Obviously, our staff and the building staff's engaged to be able to get operationally to get the event going and everything. But talk about other partnerships. What are some of the things that you need here over the next couple of weeks that maybe our community can jump in and help with?
So listen, I'll tell you this. We were I shouldn't say concerned, but we knew to make this event successful, we were going to need a lot of volunteer support. Do you know that we oversubscribed on volunteers about 3 weeks ago?
That does not surprise me. Well, that's good.
It's great. It's a good testament to our community and to the philanthropic nature of our community, but also to just rising up to meet the challenge. We have over 700 volunteers that have registered, right? Which is amazing because we need those energy and efforts in order to have a successful product, right? I would think the main thing for us is to spread the word. We really want to get people out there to see this, to see the product, to see. See, here's the thing, right? Like, and I've said this a lot, and I think the work that you and your team do, and some of the other folks here and around town, like Parney and his crazy pants, and Rob and his Band-Aids, and the fact that VCU had their long sellout streak, and that U of R is a quality program and they're at the top. And then you look at Virginia Union, and you look at Randolph-Macon, Harvard of the South. You look at our amazing community and junior college systems. We are a sports town. And then you take Sports Backers, which is one of the best at what they do around the country, right? We have always said that one of the reasons our work is so important is because if we're going to be a sports town, we have to be a sports town for everybody. Correct. This is a great way for our community to show it, right? To really put it. And listen, I got to commend Henrico County and Richmond Region Tourism. I mean, years ago, Richmond Region Tourism approached us about doing something like this, and I thought they were crazy. And it was before I ever knew what was happening at Virginia Center Commons and all of the visioning that the county was doing in terms of driving sports tourism to the region. Wasn't on our radar at the time. But they approached us about trying to do something like this. We had a big event at the Siegel Center that really gave us a great reputation amongst the wheelchair basketball community about our community being able to pull something like this off. They were enthusiastic to come here to Richmond. Now's our time. Now is our time. We've been saying it all the time, and we're just trying to promote it, have people know about it so they can come out and see it.
Yeah, it's no doubt it's our time to, as you say, shine. But I love what you said too about connecting all these dots throughout the sports community, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we see each other all the time. We attend a lot of the same events, but to see what you guys are doing, and obviously there's a lot of work ahead over the next couple of weeks for you and the team. But one of the last things here, what do you want all the athletes to take away from this experience?
Oh, man. Well, listen, you can't you hope the basketball product is good. And our partners at the National Wheelchair Basketball Association, they've done this. They've done this many times. And listen, from having attended the A10 championships this past weekend, it was a great show. I was only able to make it out on Sunday, but what a show it was, right? Like, I feel like the product is going to be good. Okay. And look, win, lose, or draw, I hope they have a good experience on the court, in between the lines, at the facility, and at the actual tournament. But I want them to also leave going, man, what a community, right? Like, from the time they hit the airport, from the time they get to the hotels, when they get to all the restaurants and the other places they're going to go, we're doing, I'll tell you this, we're having a junior banquet for the kids at the Science Museum on Saturday night. That's going to be awesome. I've been to this event years ago, as part of this. We've never done it off-site. It's always been at a hotel, and they've been great. But now we're going to take them to the Science Museum. It's going to be awesome. The following weekend, the Hall of Fame banquet for the adults is going to be at the War Memorial.
Nice.
So we're showing off, I think, the best of what this region has. I want them to leave here going, man, this is a place we should, I want them to think about moving here. I want them to think about visiting this community more often because it's so welcoming and they have such a good time.
Yeah, and that's exactly, we say that so often with so many of our events, and you referenced the A10 a couple of times, and it's that same thing. It's that student-athlete experience from arrival, the airport, the hotel, the restaurants. Everyone's buying in to what's happening in our community from a hospitality standpoint, from a sports tourism standpoint. So we're thankful for that. So getting ready to wrap up here. So again, we got to sell some tickets. So go to sportable.org. Check out all the information about the national championship. You can get your tickets. Just again, want to encourage everyone to come out. So one of our traditions here on Showtime all the time is a little show and tell.
Sure.
So what I ask everyone to do is give us something from your personal or professional career that you would like to share with everybody that has some special meaning to you.
So I always got in trouble in school for not paying attention and listening to directions, so I did not bring one. I bought two.
Excellent.
First, very important and personal to me, men at work. So baseball was a big part of my life when I was younger. This is what I would consider to be the best baseball book ever written, George Will. It's almost 35 years old. It still holds up, right? And he came to speak at Randolph-Macon. I got a signed copy of the book, but it's wonderful. Anyone that tells me baseball is boring, I'm like, have you read this book? Because if you have, there's no way. And then in the spirit of basketball and of championships and of March Madness, right? We're in it, baby. I was up way too late last night watching St. Mary's defeat Gonzaga for their West Coast title. Listen, I love the Wahoos. I grew up as a Wahoo fan. Their title run in 2019, it meant a lot to me. I think I've shared stories with you about my son and his love affair for Ohio State.
That's right.
And he has cried.
Good young man.
He has cried when the Buckeyes have lost, which makes him a real fan.
Same here.
Right? The very first time he cried was the Final Four. We were in New York, of all places, in 2019, and he didn't know because the sound wasn't on in the restaurant we were in. So we were listening to a Yankees game, which there's nothing worse than having to listen to a Yankees game. He didn't know that Kyle Guy got fouled. He thought the game was over, and he starts bawling, and then he goes to the free throw line, and my kid just lights up. And it's, what a memory. So I hope we're going to create a lot of memories like that here in Henrico County in a few weeks.
I think we will. And so I love that. A little baseball, a little basketball. Mm-hmm. Excellent. So for me, I didn't bring an event. I brought a story. Oh. So Hunter invited me out to a wheelchair basketball practice. I don't know the year. I'm thinking it had to be like 2015, 2016. You guys were back kind of in a warehouse area. Uh-huh. And, I was still a couple years into Richmond. So just, again, trying to get to know everybody and stuff. And was absolutely blown away by the attitude of these athletes, the courage of these athletes, and the athleticism of these athletes. And I didn't take you up on the invitation to get in one of the wheelchairs and actually try to go around because I was just in shock at what I was seeing.
Yeah.
So hopefully for those that are listening, you will have that same experience if you come out to the championship and see it. And I got to see it again this weekend because they were out at the A-10 championship, and in between games or halftime, they were able to display their talents again. So a little emotional, but it's just
awesome.
It's touching. It was touching to see that. It was to see the parents and the athletes and the coaches and the athletes. And so what you guys are doing is amazing across the board, not just basketball, but all the other sports that you have for the adaptive community and that inclusivity that brings. So cheers to you guys, man. Great work that you guys are doing, and best of luck on this wheelchair basketball championship.
It's going to be great. I have no doubt.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. Again, we'll see everyone out at the Henrico Sports and Events Center 2 weekends in April 5th through the 7th and 12th through the 14th. Hopefully I got that right. But come out and support Sportable. Come out and support these athletes. Hunter, again, best of luck to you and your team, and thanks for being on Showtime all the time. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, I got to give my guest the mug here, right? I think you already got one from the grand opening, but you can add to your collection.
Hey, how about that? Well, my wife needs one.
Oh,
This is perfect.
Perfect.
This is great. Hey, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.